Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam. Yes. Yes. 11th Canto, 23rd chapter, 25th verse. Vyarthayarth he haya vittam pramatta sevayo balam. Oh, next one, I think. Kushala yena siddhyanti jaratha kim nusadhaye. Vyarthaya, useless. Artha, for wealth. Ihaya, by the endeavor. Vittam, money. Pramattasya, of the maddened. Vaya, youth. Balam, strength. Kushala, those who are discriminating. Yena, by the means of which siddhyanti, become perfect. Jaratha, an old man. Kim, what? Nu, indeed. Sadhyaye, can I achieve? Translation. Discriminating persons who are able to utilize their money, youth, and strength to achieve perfection. But I have feverishly squandered this in the useless endeavor for further wealth. Now that I'm an old man, what can I achieve? 26. Why must an intelligent man suffer by his constant vain efforts to get wealth? Why must an intelligent man suffer by his constant vain efforts?
26.
No, it's the next
Why
one.
must?
26.
Why must
an intelligent man?
But the verse before I didn't have.
Okay.
What was the verse before?
The verse before was discriminating persons.
Oh, okay.
Okay. They're able to utilize their money, youth, and strength to achieve perfection, but I have feverishly squandered these in the useless endeavor for further wealth.
What?
Yeah, I would just read the previous verse. And now is the 26th verse.
Speak to the monks.
Then 26. Why must an intelligent man suffer by his constant vain efforts to get wealth? Indeed, this whole world is most bewildered by someone's illusory potency. How do you understand, Maharaj, this? How do you understand this? The whole world is bewildered by someone's illusory potency.
Yeah, sometimes I'm wondering about whether it's really Srila Prabhupada's words or some edited version.
But it's 11th canto, so it's
11th canto.
Yes,
makes it even more clear.
Yes.
Someone's. What is the word by word?
Kasya chit mayaya. It's kasya chit, of someone, mayaya, by the illusory potency.
Someone. We will look up this Sanskrit dictionary, kasya chit. Yeah, it should be by the Lord's illusory potency, no? Why must an intelligent man suffer his constant vain efforts to get? But no. Yeah, indeed, this whole world is most bewildered by someone's illusory. Meaning that everybody experiences, no, I don't understand, someone's illusory energy, potency. There's no purport?
No. Well,
okay.
We can look in there.
Then we go to the next
verse. Yeah, next verse. 27. I could have looked actually in the, if I could have looked in the Acharyas, I have the translations, maybe there was some purport. But
we don't have it. Is it in your computer?
Yeah, it's here. Let me see.
No, it takes too much time.
I'll just see if it's.
Continue.
Yeah, it's something else. It's open there.
If it's possible that because everyone is bewildered and now we follow all the blind men, so it doesn't mean something like this approach.
Andaya, Tandaya, Upaniyamanas. Yeah. So in that sense, everybody's following being illusioned by someone's activities. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's only my speculation.
Better we go to the next one.
Yeah, I open that.
And there's no purpose. Why should we make a purpose? There's no purpose.
Let's go.
Keep life simple.
Maharaj, I open if you want, I can go.
What is the next verse? Oh, you have
yes, I had
the Acharyas. I doubt this.
the Gita 20, which is 26th chapter. Okay. No, 23rd, 27. Okay, here it is.
There's a purpose.
23rd. The Song of the Avanti Brahmana, text 26. Here it is. Kasmat. Okay.
There's a purpose.
Now we'll see. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. He asks this question internally and gives himself the answer.
I didn't hear.
He asked him this question internally and gives himself the answer. This is the Avanti Brahmana speaking, so he nothing about by the illusory potency. I mean, Maya means cheating also, so it could be someone who's always bewildered by someone's. Okay, so next verse is 27. For one who is in the grasp of death, what is the use of wealth or those who offer it? Sense gratification or those who offer it? Or, for that matter, any type of fruitive activity, which simply causes one to again take birth in the material world. And then 28.
Yeah, that's a typical statement by someone who is getting old. Then they become detached.
What is the use?
You lose everything, then you become detached. What's the use of having, because you lose everything anyway. And then all of a sudden you become detached. Typical. Also no purpose.
Yeah. Next verse. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Hari, who contains himself within himself all the demigods, must be satisfied with me. Indeed, he has brought me to this suffering condition and forced me to experience detachment, which is the boat to carry me over this ocean of material life. Purport. The Brahmana could understand that the demigods who award different types of sense gratification as the result of one's fruitive activities cannot bestow the highest benefit in life. When the Brahmana lost all his property, he could understand that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who comprises all the demigods, had given him the highest perfection, not by awarding sense gratification, but by saving him from the ocean of material enjoyment. Being thus deprived of all the opportunity of cultivating religiosity, wealth, sense gratification, and liberation, the Brahmana became detached, and transcendental knowledge awakened within his heart. we were discussing, Maharaj, how this Brahmana who was described, as we read in the beginning of the story, he was so miserly, he didn't even spend money for his own pleasure. And he was full of envy also and greed, like that. So how he came to this conclusion of detachment, but coming now to Bhagavan, Hari, to devotion of the Supreme. He somehow understands how is this happening. Usually when people lose everything, they're just frustrated and they want to, I don't know, commit suicide or something like that.
So there must be some piety in his previous life. And also in his life, he was a Brahmana.
Yeah.
So piety was there. And for those who are pious, they have a greater chance to return to the Supreme Lord if they are if they experience setbacks, sufferings. Whereas impious people don't have that inclination. They just become bitter, upset, angry. That's the difference between pious people and impious people.
Yeah.
And also, I thought it's interesting the point of detachment, because sometimes we might wonder what's the actual purpose of practicing detachment. And here it is explained that the effect of, again, if one is pious and one practices detachment, then that results in developing transcendental knowledge, or at least having an inclination to think about or study transcendental knowledge. This we have seen in the case of many devotees. And in the early days, there was such a strong inclination for searching for transcendental knowledge. And many of them, they practice already detachment. They ran away from home, they're just living with nothing. So Srila Prabhupada recognized that, actually.
Yes.
He said this was one advantage his early disciples had. They already practiced detachment. So Srila Prabhupada didn't have to educate them in detachment. They already practiced. So, for pious people to practice detachment results often in transcendental knowledge, as explained here. Yeah. Yes. And of course, our point is that even if there was no piety, he created our piety by the association of devotees, kirtan, prasadam, so many things. Seeing the deities, the whole program Srila Prabhupada gave us provided for us to practice piety. And then that results in so many other things.
I think they asked him what pious activities we have done in our previous life with disciples, and he answered that I'm your pious activity.
Yeah. Because according to our birth and early life activities, we should be careful to conclude that I practiced piety in my previous life. Maybe not. But a devotee, in any case, is humble. You should never think I was something elevated in my previous life. Like when you go to these, in India, to astrologers, they always tell you, oh, you were a Brahmana in India. You took birth in a Brahminical family in India. So we cannot be so sure about it. I think it's more safe to really think that Srila Prabhupada, he created, my piety, than be on the safe side, which is a fact anyway. Any other thoughts?
It's come in Bhagavad Gita also. Krishna speaks what you say, that detachment is the same as detachment from material world is the same as attachment to Krishna. So it's detachment, as you explained, it's created the opportunity for devotional service.
Next verse. 29. If there is any time remaining in my life, I will perform austerities and force my body to subsist on the bare necessities. Without further confusion, I shall pursue that which constitutes my entire self-interest in life, and I shall remain satisfied within the self.
Now he actually returns to his Brahminical life. What he was supposed to cultivate. And that's the problem. Srila Prabhupada also explained often that that's the problem, that when the living entity is in difficulties, then it becomes religious. He gave the example of during the World War, the churches were packed. But now, maybe not so much here, but in other countries, churches are just empty. Whole day they're closed. Only Sunday, few people go. That's the tendency. And when they're in trouble, then they pray to God. As soon as the trouble is gone, then they forget about God. So that's a tendency, perhaps we also see a little bit in our devotees. When there's some difficulties, then we chant some extra rounds. The difficulty is gone, then we again back to 60 rounds, or perhaps even less. Krishna forbid. Yeah. So that's a sign of sincerity. If a devotee always cultivates his, spiritual life, Krishna consciousness, whether he is in trouble or not. If a devotee, although he is well situated, he's being taken care of, he has whatever he needs, and still he's chanting nicely, hearing nicely, then we can conclude he's a very sincere, sincere advanced devotee.
And sometimes, Maharaj, when the difficulties are too difficult, the obstacles or the troubles, then also we may develop some doubts and kind of question, why is Krishna giving me that trouble? I cannot serve properly. Then
it's not why is Krishna giving trouble, why is material nature giving trouble? Why is Maya giving me trouble? That is explained. As soon as we turn away our face from Krishna, then Maya punishes. It's simply the punishment of material nature. And as we explained the other day, suffering usually is committed by living entities. Of course, nature also, too hot, too cold, whatever. But that kind of suffering which pierces the heart usually comes from other people, other living entities. So that is not, you cannot just conclude Krishna. Why does Krishna? Krishna is dancing with the gopis. He's playing on his flute. That's what he's doing. He's not, punishing people and especially giving his devotees suffering. again, when we don't experience suffering, then we tend to forget Krishna, or at least Krishna is far away. And if we experience suffering, then Krishna is very close. He's everything arranging for me personally. No trouble, he's far away. Yeah. And Krishna states in the Gita that he has nothing to do with this whole material world. His expansions are doing everything. Krishna is not in contact with this world. He's far away. Super soul is an expansion of Balaram. That's also interesting. Generally, we think super soul means Krishna. It's Balaram, an expansion of Balaram. So he turns his face towards this material world. He's so merciful. And Krishna is just and then that Paramatma is explained when the devotee develops his love for Krishna, then of course Krishna accordingly manifests in his heart. But otherwise Krishna has nothing to do with this world. And that, that mood we should cultivate. That's our sampradaya, Vipalamba Seva. Always feel separation from Krishna. Not that Krishna is here, Krishna talks to me, he does this for me, arranges that for me, gives me suffering. Separation, Krishna is far, far away. And that's our goal, to return to him. What else do we have? Or any other point related?
Yes.
And Maharaj, why do we have this tendency to blame Krishna? So of course it's our ignorance, but it's kind of envy, or what is the source?
That's the cause why we are here in the material world. We are envious of Krishna. So that sometimes might manifest. Why Krishna, Srila Bhagavad once explained several times, that's the cause of our fall down. We thought, why Krishna? Why not me? Why is he the supreme enjoyer? Why not me? Why is everybody serving him? It's all, the base of envy. Why him? Why not me? Whatever it might be. Why not me? So that might again manifest a little bit when we, when we blame Krishna. We should actually never blame Krishna. We should always have full faith. If Krishna, personally interferes in the life of his devotee, and that must be for the good of the devotee, even though it might be suffering. We discussed the other day, Krishna might allow that some karmic reactions affect his devotee. He might give that permission. Usually, all the sinful reactions are gone. Just by initiation, chanting Hare Krishna every day, taking Mahaprasad and so many things, Sharinamrita, all simple reactions are finished. Even Prarabdha karma, Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains. But Krishna might allow something to affect his devotee just to make him sincere, like a slap in the face. Don't become too lenient. You have to always, my dear devotee, watch out. Be careful. You're still in the material world. So he might allow, but that must be for the good of the devotee. Perhaps at the moment we might not understand. Why does Krishna do it? Why does he allow? Why doesn't he? Prahlad Maharaj, he could have a lot of doubts. He could have a lot of doubts, They tried to poison him and did so many things. But he never thought even once, why does Krishna do this? He was convinced about Krishna's protection. Krishna's protecting me, not punishing me. So that devotees should stay away from these type of thoughts, blaming Krishna. Because as soon as we blame Krishna, envy of Krishna, then Krishna goes away. He withdraws himself. It's natural. Even we do it. Everything has its origin in Krishna. So many living entities are envious of Krishna. Therefore, Krishna, he withdraws himself. Okay, I don't exist. If you're so envious of me, then I withdraw myself. That, everybody's doing it. Same tendency. If you really feel someone is envious of you, you leave the room, you go away. But Krishna does the same. He's not, and whatever he does it in a perfect way. We disappear into the next room. The Krishna completely disappears. Whatever he does is perfect. He does it complete and perfect. He completely, in a perfect way, disappears. Yeah. Because that's the desire of the living entity. The nature of envy is, why don't you just disappear? Why are you existing? That's envy. You don't want, you want to see the person either going away, going to a different country, or cease to exist. Envy can, have such an extent that we desire that this person you're envious of just dies or something, just disappears. So Krishna, he does it. He just completely disappears. Because that's the desire of the living entity. And we can see this very clearly. Now, how many people have that strong desire, God doesn't exist? Krishna, God, he doesn't exist. They're so convinced. That's their desire. They want it. And Krishna fulfills, okay, that's what you want. I don't exist.
Can I have a question? What about the mood of gratitude to the Lord? You say that when we're dangerous, we're praying, but if you're in a normal condition, and at the same time, is it normal for our sampradaya to have these prayers of gratitude to the Lord?
Yeah, I mentioned the other day, there was this one clash Srila Prabhupada gave, and he was almost screaming that Krishna is so merciful. That's screaming. He gives us water, sunlight, food, everything. He's so merciful. Definitely our sampradaya. that gratitude, of course, foremost for Krishna. Now, I was thinking the other day how merciful Krishna is. Although we are living in one sense, this Jagat, this material world, it is described Durga. It's described as prison. Actually, living entities are living in a prison house, of these universes, this material world. But just see how merciful Krishna is. And he makes that prison house so pleasant. We have so many wonderful things. Now the springtime will come, I hope, soon. The beautiful, that special spring smell, the Krishna. He gives us some beautiful flowers and fruits and prasad, and everything is arranged given by Krishna. Although we're in a prison house, he gives us so many pleasurable things. Of course, suffering is all, but again, suffering, it is also primarily created by the living entities, not by material nature. The living entities, because of their sinful activities, they create all the suffering. But material nature in itself, Ishopanishad states, it is perfect and complete. Everything we need, it is provided. So he's that show of gratitude it is also related to that. Although we were envious of Krishna, we wanted to forget Krishna, We are in a prison house of material existence, and still he provides so many wonderful things. The sunset, people are fascinated. Oh, how beautiful. And also the relationships, often they're so nice. Somebody falls in love with someone else, wonderful. All Krishna's mercy. Because he doesn't want that a living entity suffer. He doesn't want it. It's not his desire. So he wants to make it, as enjoyable as possible for the living entities in this world. And another topic would be interesting to discuss a little bit, not now, but another time. I'm often thinking about why did Krishna create this birth and death? Sometimes, what's the actual purpose of it? You could also, without, birth, and then I was thinking, well, without this, and then you come to Vaikuntha. Why didn't Krishna create a second Vaikuntha without himself? But then that doesn't exist. Vaikuntha means Krishna. Without Krishna, there's no Vaikuntha. Without the sun, like shadow. As soon as you turn away from the sun, then you see the shadow. So that's the whole point. There cannot be a second Vaikuntha, another world Lord Krishna could have created where the living entity does not experience birth, old age, disease, there's just everything nice without Krishna, but that doesn't exist. As soon as Krishna would arrange, he has to place himself in the center. A very interesting point. So this, why is there death and birth? Well, what's the idea? The idea, one answer could be, why should Krishna give the same facilities to those who love him, to those who hate him, who are envious? Why should he give the same facilities? Wouldn't make any sense. So Krishna preserves that, to be free from old age, disease, death, birth. He preserves that for his devotees, those who love him. Those who don't love him, he gives. How can he give the same? Is it not? That's one thought I had. Why should he give the same? That's natural. Like, the mother, she loves all her children, but some are very, very devoted to her. And some, they always go away from home. Where have you been? That's not your business. So she doesn't give the same facility, the same affection, same money, pocket money. She withdraws. It's natural. So how can Krishna give the same facilities for those who hate him and those who love him? There must be a difference. So for those who are envious of him, he gives different facilities, like the material body, instead of an eternal, blissful, full of knowledge body, he gives to the devotees. How can he give the same? So he gives something less, naturally, so that the envious living entities will learn a lesson, rectify themselves. The whole idea of a prison house, why the prison house doesn't have nice furniture, nice wallpapers, why? It has a purpose. And the purpose is that the prisoners begin to realize this is not really the place I want to live forever, in the prison house. Yeah. I thought it was an interesting topic. We continue.
For 1 month, we also have the same discussion here.
Yeah, well, I was asking the same question. Why Krishna didn't create second Vaikuntha? when I was teaching in the college also, that was a question to the students. It's an interesting topic, definitely.
Yeah. Vaikuntha can only exist in Lord Krishna's personal presence. Because without him, there's no Vaikuntha. Then he has to create a second Krishna. There's only one Krishna. Monotheism. Many Krishnas, many gods.
This is the thing here. We are trying to do the role of Krishna. This is where
Yeah,
we're
that's what we try. We try to create a second God, third one, fourth one. Yeah. Okay.
Srila Prabhupada ki.
So we have new devotees coming